Hey everyone, welcome to the Driven to Succeed Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Olson, my co-host, Brett LaCoy, and today we have a special guest, Thomas Bahrke from Ancona Title.
How we doing, everybody? Nice to be here.
Yes. And Thomas, we bring in professionals such as yourself, and this is the first time we brought a title agent in. So
nice.
I'm very happy to bring you in. Want to talk a little bit about, yourself, Ancona Title today.
Yeah.
And the real reason why we bring professionals in is to get another aspect on what the world in real estate is like, but also to get to know the person behind it too, right?
Yeah.
So why people like to use your company, yourself, as closers and so forth. But, really it's about getting to know you,
Yeah,
Thomas,
absolutely.
like what makes you, so, what I typically like to ask is like, what got you into the wide world of title or into the real estate side? Or
Well, when I was a little kid, I was about 3 or 4, and I looked at my mom and I said, someday I want to sell title insurance.
I love it.
And that's not true at all. I met the owner of the company, Chris Brown, I think in 2015 or 16.
Okay.
And our process at Ancona is we actually use contract closers. Because what we do for our refinances is we will send a closer out to wherever, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If your borrower wants to sign at their office, their home, coffee shop, whatever.
You might want to pull that in.
So I met Chris Brown, and we connected right away. And he says, "Hey, I think I've got something for you. Would you be interested in starting in that?" So it started just out on the refi side. And it was great because it was flexible.
Right.
I was doing some things on my own at that time, so it was kind of entrepreneurial in the way
Sure.
that it was extra source of income. And I actually, it's my favorite part of the job is actually being at the table with consumers.
Right.
I enjoy that. I like talking
some
to
tell
people.
me you like to converse and
I do. I like to
people.
have a good time, and people get wound pretty tight in those situations sometimes because it's out of their element. And so if you can keep it fun,
Right.
but spot on, clear, concise, and quick.
Answering
and when I say
questions.
quick, is not rushing them through, but
Right.
giving them everything they need.
You don't cover up their signature with a tie, or the words with a tie, and just tell them to sign it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like make sure they know what they're signing, they understand
Right.
it, and make them comfortable, put them at ease.
Right.
And that's all about generating referrals. The number of people that have come back to Ancona Title that have used us consistently because they had one great experience.
Yep.
And then they refinance, their kids buy, whatever it might be. All of a sudden, we're starting seeing the same name come through our portal, and that's what we do.
100%. I mean, I started working with you guys in that same phase too. In 2020, and it might have been a little bit before that, but I mean, you guys picked up, and I think you did almost every one of my refinance. At least 95% of them.
Yeah.
Like there was maybe a couple that got out away from me and went somewhere else, but
Yep.
for the most part. But it was always so concise and being able to like, hey, can you guys close at 7 p.m. at their house?
Yep.
Right. And in the middle of COVID, people were closing in their garages at picnic tables.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, as a notary, I mean, we were throwing up quite a few audibles. Let's just call them audibles, where it's raining, their garage is a mess. How are we going to do this? They don't want me in their house, so I'm
Right.
literally on their front porch, feeling like a peeping Tom,
Right.
making sure they're actually signing the documents,
Right.
not being under duress.
Neighbors
No
didn't
one's
call you in?
yeah, right. Please show up. What are
Right.
you doing?
Don't worry, we're refinancing a home. It's all good.
But at that time, it was like a daily kind of changing of our process
Yep.
and making sure we're within the compliance
Right.
of what we're supposed to be doing. Everything's legal, but still getting the job done. And honestly, our volumes during that time had increased 3 to almost 4 times the usual. I mean, it was such a run.
Yeah.
We're closing 7-8 loans in a day.
Right.
You're going from Shakopee to North Branch.
Right.
And what's great is that was a testament to us, our flexibility,
Right.
being able to move in that marketplace, change. and still comply with everything that we needed to do.
Yeah, and compliance is a huge part of this industry, and you guys on that end of it, on the title side, and that's where a lot of people just, frankly, don't understand what you actually do. So, from a consumer side, they only see you at the very end, and they're just signing the docs that the lender provided, right?
Yep.
But before that, as a lender, why we like to use, and I never quite understood this, why the real estate agents always get to be the ones to pick the title company, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But when you guys are doing title commitments and like you're doing all these name searches and making sure the properties are clean, give us just a little bit, not too deep, but just a little bit of insight on like that back process, if you could.
It's quite a process, and I'll be honest, I leave that to the professionals.
Right. But in a just a short, I mean, you guys have, you're doing you're verifying the property, right? We're verifying that it's a clean property, right? There's not, the liens, all these different things on it, because that's where people get.
Exactly, and what we do is we actually do all of our title examinations. Everything's in-house. We don't shop it out. There are no third parties.
Right.
Literally, the owner, Chris Brown, his two sons, Rob and Ryan, basically handle all of that in-house process. I mean, we've got teams that work with, we've got an in-house attorney. So we run 3 databases, or we run off of 3 databases, essentially to make sure we have all the information about the property.
Right.
What liens are in place, easements, and any number of things that could be a part of.
And that's where the big ones that come in is the easements, and like, oh, we just did, it looks like the neighbor's garage might be partially on your land, right?
Yep.
Or the city has this little stretch of their little road that goes back to service one of their towers back there.
Drainage in backyards running between properties, even properties once they get sectioned off. People will sell a portion of their property.
Right.
Well, how do you get to that portion? Right? Is there an easement in place? Do we need to put an easement in place? Is everybody, are the neighbors okay? Is everyone okay with this process, right?
Right.
So that's a big part of what we do. Title insurance, I mean, that's the other part. We insure the lender's collateral.
Right.
That's a big part. And that kind of goes back to what you were talking about with agents. I've always had that kind of thought process too. Like, there's no skin in the game financially on them. It's not their product being insured. It is the lender's product.
Right.
And then the second half of that is the owner's title policy and the importance of that. I don't think people really understand what that means.
Yeah, that is a very great point, because that doesn't come up until the end, right?
Yeah.
And in the process, when we're disclosing loan estimates, closing disclosures, and we have all these different fees on here, and people are asking, what are all these fees for, right? Why is there, what is this, right? So the owner, if you can give a brief description on the owners, that would be.
Yeah. It's as simple as this. When you buy a property, and you do have a choice, buyers do have a choice as to the owner's title policy. Why I always recommend it is it covers any title defects from the sale date past. Now, we've actually changed that a little bit. We work with Stewart Title as our underwriter for about 95, give or take, 95% of our title policy issues. We've moved into an enhanced title policy. Now, I don't know if you have seen anything about that company, Title Lock.
Yep.
Right? I think Rudy Giuliani's touting this.
I think all the time, man. You hear that.
And I just did read an article that the AG, the Attorney General of Texas, is now investigating.
Yeah.
Title Lock. I think some of their claims may.
Sure.
And they'll all figure that out. I'm just going off of what I read.
Right.
But basically, if anything comes up on your title, past, let's say, and I always use this example, little Johnny, right? Grandma loves little Johnny. She owned the house back in the 1960s. Grandma signs a document, has it notarized saying, hey, little Johnny gets full ownership of my property when I pass.
Right.
But it never gets filed with the county. That's why you want title insurance.
Right.
We can only find things that exist in the databases. If
Right.
it's filed, if it's legally filed,
Right.
we can track it down. We can figure that out. But if it sits in a safe for 50 years and somebody shows up and says, no, I own your property, what do you do at that point? Right?
Right.
That's ultimately. Now, the enhanced title policy is actually going to cover things post-closing. So as you own the house, let's say we talked about encroachments.
Sure.
Neighbor builds a garage, it encroaches on your property. The new enhanced title policy will actually cover not the cost, but helping to navigate the situation.
Right on.
And that's kind of the
Right,
big thing.
'cause-
You've got a title company on your behalf who's willing to file documents, willing to do the due diligence to, again, clear title.
Right.
And that's what's important. And now title lock is all about, somebody fraudulently, that's their big thing, somebody fraudulently filing a claim or a deed against your property.
Right.
Right, post-closing, well, this will cover that also. Again, it'll help navigate and cover your attorney's costs and any costs in regard to that.
Yeah, and in relation to the cost is like 0.01% or something like, it's very minimal. Like a $300,000 loan, it's like $275.
Yeah,
Right?
and honestly, how it works is
It's a
when
few
you're,
$100s at
when
the
you're
most.
issuing the lender's title policy, or when we're issuing the lender's and the owner's title policy at the same time, there is a discount.
Right.
It's, we're kind of bundling, and you
Nice.
bundle things, you get
Right.
discounts, right?
Right.
Let's say the owner wants to opt out. Nope, I don't want it. Okay, just the lender's policy. They're going to pay for that anyways,
Right.
So they're paying full premium for that.
For that,
Well, they saved on the owner's. Well, 2 months down the road, they want to. Well, now I want the owner's policy. We can issue it anytime.
Okay.
Absolutely,
That's
we
great.
can.
Okay.
That discount doesn't exist.
Right.
You're going from $400 to $1,000 for that owner's title policy. And,
Wow.
to be clear, the owner's title policy covers the property. Insurance covers the property as long as you own that. So if you own the property for 30 years, you paid $400 for it, do the math. I mean, monthly, what did you actually pay for that?
Right.
Nominal. It's a
Right.
nominal fee.
Yeah, I mean, I think 99% of people get it on their transaction.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And it's one of the no-brainer insurance policies there is.
Yeah, it's just peace of mind.
You have no idea. Let's just say I'm selling a house. I had to get a furnace put in. I only put half down. The house is sold. I'm good. Right. Now that contractor comes back and says, well, hey, wait a second. I just put this brand new furnace in. I never got full payment for it. And it's trying to slap a lien on it.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
And
and if he didn't put the lien on it, we don't find it.
Correct.
Now that's on you.
Correct.
Figure it out, and that's the hard part.
Right.
We actually have buyers sign documents when they opt out, acknowledging. Just know we cannot help you in the future. If you do
Correct.
not take the owner's policy, we will not help represent or solve this. You are,
Right.
it's yours.
Right.
You owned it. Now it's yours to figure out. So,
Right.
yeah, and honestly, again, the price is so nominal from what the cost of retaining an attorney would be. I've retained attorneys, $2,500 down. Your
Right.
title policy is $500, covers the lifetime of the ownership.
Right. And it's, I mean, most of them we see are even sub 500.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
But when you're talking whether it's a $125,000 home or it's a $500,000 home, that the cost is just so nominal. It is
Yep.
what it is. So, well, that's great. I love talking about get your take on these things, but. Again, we always bring it back to like, who is Thomas? Right? Like, we had a
Yeah.
little discussion beforehand. Talk about your wife and her 3 daughters.
Yeah.
And she brought up a funny joke, but you guys also, you said you have like 12 gardens, right?
Yeah.
It's around your property.
Yeah, we bought this house in 2018. And you know what sold it was the gardens, and what makes me want to sell it is the gardens.
You got to walk around with a water, like a water can all the time.
Oh, water can! I mean, it takes me like 2 hours just to trim around everything,
Wow,
before I even
right.
mow the lawn. But it's gorgeous. I mean, when we walked the property originally, it was kind of magical. So many different varietals.
Yeah.
The owner of the house previous to us owned it for 46 years. He was a school teacher, so his summers were dedicated to muscle cars
Yeah, nice.
and his gardens.
Did he leave one behind?
No.
Did
I've
you
got
leave
the
a
stickers
lift behind?
I've got Holly carburetor
Harley
stickers and all
carburetor,
sorts
right.
of great things in the garage that looks
nice.
like I know what I'm
Right,
doing,
right.
but no. It's a great property. We love it. We did some landscaping work last year, and it's just always an evolution.
Right. Well, that's what home ownership is.
But
so.
it's home.
Right, exactly.
And I love being home. I love our house. I love our gardens. I love the yard. I love the neighborhood.
Right.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
There's something to be said about that, man. Loving your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Coming home, that's your piece. My property that I bought just a few years ago too, in 2020. I can just go there, and it's nice where I'm very fortunate, but it's like I don't have any desire to really go anywhere, and I've never had that before, right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, let's go out, let's do something. It's like
No.
maybe I'm just getting older too, so there's that.
Yeah, they merge.
Right,
They
it
merge.
comes together. You grow up a little bit, but yeah, this we talk about real estate mainly and home life, and that's really where we want to connect with people. Is like why choose us as your lenders? Why choose us as with a from the professional standpoint. So, man, I love having you on, and like you did tell a joke, and I got to have you tell us again. Like,
There's
what
two.
about the cars?
There was two things today. There's two things. My wife. I've got 3 stepkids. So my wife has her oldest, Olivia, who just turned 13, and full bloom teenager. That's tons of fun. And then she's got twins. She's got Avery and Sarah, who are 11. They'll actually be 12 coming up here next week.
Awesome.
So yeah, no, pretty exciting.
Right.
No, I'm sorry, they're 10. They're going to be 11, so they'll be 11 next year, or next week. But Avery, she won a kindness award. So the teachers at school will hand out these little cards stating like, "Hey, we recognized your kindness."
Right.
Now all those cards go into a hat, and they draw a card. And that child gets a ride from the community officer. So it's a Washington County sheriff. Came to our house this morning, and Avery won. So the officer comes to the house, lights on, the whole deal, and just piles her into the back seat of the car.
Yeah.
And she was all smiles, and it was really funny because cars are driving by, and everyone's kind of
what's going on?
What is going on? Why is that child going to the back seat of the car? Why is everyone filming it?
Right.
So super proud of her, one, because she is just a sweet, and they're all real sweet girls, and it was just kind of a huge bonus for her. She was super excited about it. Of course, she bought a couple donuts for the officer.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, And my dad was a police officer, so I get it. Genetically,
Right.
I'm tied to the donut industry. I love that kind of stuff. So, and the officer was real sweet. Her name's Officer Kelly, and she did just a great job. Made her feel really welcome.
That's fantastic, and
So that was good. And then the other is, when things come out of kids' mouths, sometimes you wonder where, why, and how. So she looks at me and she's like, Lightning McQueen? I said, yeah, from the movie Cars. I'm like, yeah, I know Lightning McQueen. She's like, so does he get life insurance or auto insurance for himself?
that's great.
And she's like 10 years old, and I'm looking at her like, where does this come from?
Well,
Had to be the internet.
Right. Well, then also, how does a 10-year-old know about life insurance and auto insurance as well? Probably title insurance.
Well, yeah, that's our weekend fun. We do insurance.
Or you go through policies.
So yeah, exactly.
Here, that's how you get so much work done. Here, read through this, let's summarize it. Yeah.
Yeah, hey girls, what are you doing downstairs with your friends? Oh, we're just drawing up insurance policies. Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
No, that's
they're a
great.
lot of fun. They're such a joy. They make me laugh.
Right.
We have such a good time.
Yeah. I believe it.
So I gotta ask you about your gardens.
Yeah.
What are you planting in there right now, or what's the plan for this next year?
Well, after the landscaping, a lot got torn out.
Okay.
And we've got a lot of hostas, so it's going to be splitting the hostas, perennials. We've got a couple nice rose bushes, so I think we're going to get a
Okay.
couple new rose bushes in. Maybe do some cuttings and get that going. And then lilies are kind of one of my favorites. I love the Asiatic lilies. Just they're super hardy.
Yeah.
The deers love them, so we get the wildlife
Right.
adventure
Oh,
too.
sure.
That's great.
Yeah, and that's about it right now. I think we're actually gonna we're talking. We want to put a fire pit in.
Yeah.
So we've got this
Sure.
burning bush. You know what a burning bush is? You ever seen one?
No.
No.
Unbelievable in the fact that in the fall they are so bright red. The leaves will
Yeah.
turn this fire red.
Really?
And as you drive by, it's all you see. And when the
Right.
sun hits it, I mean, it almost gives off this red aura in the neighborhood.
Sure.
But it's been there, and I think it's run its life course.
Okay.
So we're thinking about pulling that, taking that garden out, digging down, and
Mhm.
then just landscaping in a fire pit,
Nice.
right in the center.
Nice.
Less weeding, more fires, right?
That's
Win-win for
right. More
everybody.
fires, right? Exactly.
So, but yeah, it's more mainly just perennials. And again, the owner had been there 46 years, so he just pieced this together. There's some really unique hostas, and
That's
some
really
really
cool.
unique lilies.
Yeah, and I didn't know if they were like vegetables or if they're flowers, but it sounds like nothing edible so far.
Nothing edible so far. I think we're gonna put in some of those garden beds, the elevated,
Sure.
where
Right.
just stand. It's like a little table with
Right.
garden in it.
Keep away from the rabbits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And just we don't want to stress the deer, so
Right.
just right
Yeah,
at
right.
Yeah,
Pull
no,
it right
put
in.
your head
walk
down
by.
too
It's like a
far.
buffet. You just stop by and get what they
That's
want. But the girls are really into planting and gardening. My wife had a microgreens business that she had started years ago. And so she'd go to the farmer's market. So she's got a great green thumb.
Right.
Okay.
She knows what she's doing, and she's super educated. She did a lot of nutrition when she was in college. She might have done some drinking too, but there was a lot of nutrition studying. And so it's really important to her, organic, good nutrition for the girls.
Right.
Making sure we have what we need to keep our bodies going.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're not getting any younger, so
No.
that's a good way to just kind of educate them and teach them moving forward how to take care of themselves, how to give themselves what they need.
Absolutely. And not only is it a hobby, but it's a healthy hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I would even go as far as to say it's a life skill.
yeah.
It's absolutely a life
100% is. I mean, I grew up on a farm. I think you did. You
Yeah.
grew up in the country. I mean,
Yeah.
digging around in the garden, having chickens or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
skill.
Having a green thumb, I'm just going to say life skill.
Yeah.
Man,
Absolutely.
sitting outside in the summertime and the green beans or the peas, like when I was a kid, we didn't wash them off. We just ate them right there.
right.
Absolutely.
It was healthy.
And there's something about starting and finishing something.
Right.
There really is. So starting the gardens, nurturing, watching them grow, harvesting,
Right.
making it into this beautiful soup or whatever you want to turn those carrots into, right?
Right.
There's
Well-
something about that.
Absolutely, and I just literally did some farming last year. We put in winter wheat on my dad's property up north, and it's like, okay, you plowed, we disked, we dragged it, and then we planted it, and then I don't live up there, but I'm watching on my deer cam,
Yeah.
all of a sudden like, holy shit, it's coming up,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just to see black dirt to go to a green carpet,
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome. Or
Yeah.
to see your corn coming up or whatever it's just that,
And
simple
those-
things in life, man.
And those little tasks, those little things, like my wife is big into meditation, and it's kind of a funny story because she's working towards this. I don't know. She's just very gifted.
Yeah.
So she's working towards meditation retreats, and she started a meditation group that we do at my house. And So those moving meditations, that's something I really enjoy. The city meditations are a little different for me. And
Wait, there's a moving meditation?
Yeah, basically, like, you're so focused on what you're doing, your mind is clear of all else.
All right.
You've got one intent. In gardening, weeding, it's
Right.
just sort of this thing where and then that final product, you look and you're like,
Okay.
wow, look at how good that looks. And feel how relaxed I am now
Right.
that it's done.
Okay, so that brings me up, and I know we don't have very much time left, but
Yeah.
2020, after refi all summer, loans, and we're just, working 70, 80, 90 hours a week. I was one Friday, it was in October, early October, I'm like, I'm going to build a fish house. I had seen one, and so basically got the drafts, went to Home Depot, got the wood, and I just literally did moving meditation. Like, everything else was gone. All the company stuff, all the loan stuff was just like gone. Man, that saved me.
Yep.
That saved me a lot. That was-
Absolutely. And when you come back to what your focus is now, whether it's work or family or whatever it is, your intent and that focus is so much more acute.
Yeah.
And the production at those moments is so much more higher. Sometimes you really have to just separate yourself from everything that's swarming.
Right.
Find one little detail that you focus all your intent on, release it, and let it come back. And it makes more sense.
Yeah.
It's more in line. It set itself up in your mind in a way that it's almost like verbalizing things.
Right.
You can run ideas, hundreds of ideas through your head. As soon as you verbalize, you're like, not a good idea, not a good idea, great idea.
Right. Absolutely.
Then you can pin all that down.
Right.
So
What a great way to wrap this conversation up. We are running out of time, but I mean, Thomas,
That happens.
it's such a pleasure working with you over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Having you on the show, having some of the listeners and hopefully some of our real estate partners to utilize Ancona and yourself. That's what we bring on. We try to make that network because I really do. From like closing loans in the middle of Wisconsin to wherever we needed to close, you guys have always been on top of it. So it's been fantastic, and very happy that you came on the show today.
Well, I really appreciate this opportunity. Yeah. It's been great. I've had a lot of fun today, and we really appreciate all the business you bring our way. Again, we've been working together for a couple of years now, and that's just enormous. It's a testament.
Yep.
Obviously, we're both doing our jobs well, so let's just keep that going.
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely. So, again, anybody out there, if you guys actually have any directed title questions, Thomas maybe I'll help you out. Like and subscribe to us. We have contact information. But let us know any questions you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good day. Be productive, huh?
Yes. Go out there, seize the day.
Seize the day.
The day.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.